Madden football is the home of Super Bowl 56. And this historic matchup is brought to you by EA Sports. It's the Bucs and the Chiefs, and it comes your way next.
EA Sports coverage of the National Football League is on the air. Tonight, it's all on the line. We play for the Lombardi Trophy, as it'll be the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs taking on the champions from the NFC, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brandon Gaudin with my good friend Charles Davis. And Charles, for these Kansas City Chiefs, they, of course, were Super Bowl champions 2 years ago. They won over the Niners in Miami. Now, they fell to the Bucs in Tampa last year, but now they are back making their third consecutive trip to the big game.
They have truly cemented themselves as perennial front-runners, and now, when we think of Kansas City, we expect them to be in this game. They're trying to emulate the New England Patriots, who went to Super Bowls 51, 52, and 53 in recent years, and they came up with a win, loss, and then a win again in those 3 consecutive seasons.
And meanwhile, the Buccaneers are back in the Super Bowl. Of course, they won it last year behind Tom Brady, but now, Charles, this group looks to get it done without TB12 under center.
But think about the confidence this team gained last year in their run to the title. Remember, they won 3 road games to get there. Yes, they won the Super Bowl in their home stadium, but 3 straight wins on the road in order to make it happen. Give them a ton of credit. They galvanized, and now they're ready to go for it again.
After all the hype, it's finally time for football as we're underway in Super Bowl 56. And we will not have a return, so the first drive of this Super Bowl will begin at the 25. Tampa Bay coming out along with a man who needs no introduction, the great Tom Brady.
And he comes in off of a tremendous game in the NFC. He's been very vocal in days leading up to this game that he believes that this is their time. And he's going to do all he can to will them to a Super Bowl win.
Three tight ends in the ball game here on 1st and 10. On the ground, this is Leonard Fournette. Breaks the tackle, he's got room to run. The 40. 20. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Leonard Fournette with a first touchdown of this Super Bowl, and a long one at that. And the Bucs are on the board first here in this Super Bowl. Well, Leonard Fournette, not a guy to shy away from contact. He can lower the boom on you when he gets ahead of steam, and that was a heck of a run right there.
Yeah, and this is one of the best runs you'll see. A lot of times on these long touchdowns, you'll say he gets into the end zone untouched, but not here. He fought his way through contact, and it barely even registered, and he just continued down the field all the way to the end zone.
And on the next-gen stats, we see that he traveled close to 80 yards after that initial contact. What a play. Now it's Ryan Suckup on after the touchdown to kick it away. And bring this out to the 25. No return there for Hardman. The KC offense set to go, led as always by the gunslinger, a former MVP in this league. It's Patrick Mahomes.
And he's been sensational all season long, but he saved his best work for the playoffs, leading his guys to the AFC Championship a couple of weeks ago. And now he knows what lies ahead. He's going to need to play a near-perfect 4 quarters of football to get his guys to the finish line.
Mahomes will lead the Chiefs up 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line. They'll come out throwing here to start the drive. Completes it to Hardman. And he gets this one just shy of the 40, down at the 39. Well, CD, you get these two teams together, and you get them each at full strength, and you know you're going to see some passing. We expect to see the ball in the air a lot as this game goes on.
Yeah, they were number 1 and number 2 in the NFL in passing yards last season. Kansas City 1, Tampa Bay 2, which means both defenses I hope they got their rest, because going against these offenses, throwing the ball around and spreading the field, you're going to do a lot of running trying to cover.
Now a pass dumped off to his running back. And able to break one tackle, but then quickly brought down. But a nice little gain. 7 yards there on the first down screen play. So, Charles, first drive here, little safe completion underneath. Maybe get some rhythm, get your feet wet, so to speak.
I agree, and I like it because it's a lot like a basketball game when you're getting started and you pass the ball around so everyone touches it early and gets involved in the game. In this case, it's not just dumping it to a back and he's able to run with the ball, but you get your offensive linemen involved because they get to get out and run and hit people in the open field. Everyone getting their feet wet early.
You think back, Charles, a year ago to Super Bowl 55, we were out in Tampa, and this Chiefs offense just never could get it going. Patrick Mahomes hobbled by that turf toe injury. The offensive line, they were down a few starters. It was just a team that, frankly, was not at full strength.
And to their credit, they didn't use that as an excuse, and I applaud them for that, because what our eyes showed us, what we saw in that game, they didn't play their best game, but Tampa Bay, the better team throughout, right from the word go, and they really got after Kansas City in that one.
And forget about the run to set up the pass. They're just coming out throwing.
Forget trying to set anything up. They feel like they have the advantage. They feel like they have the matchups, and they're just attacking right now.
Yep, going to the air on the opening drive. So from Buccaneer territory now, it's 1st and 10 at the 46. They'll run for the first time with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's a 6-yard pickup, and it gets him to 2nd and 4.
All right, Brandon, I know we're in the early going here, but those kind of runs, they're going to open up a world of opportunities for this offense going forward.
The last run got 6, now 2nd and 4. They fake the give, now Mahomes. They'll find Juju Smith-Schuster. And this is going to lead to another first down as the tackle's made at the Bucs' 27-yard line.
Well, they obviously red man covers their partner, and he got downfield, broke down the defender, made him
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, he made him think he was going to run a different route. Probably thought he was going to take it upfield, and then he curls back inside for the completion.
On first down, Mahomes. And this is going to be incomplete. But, Charles, you think about these two teams, and think about how long it's been since we've had the same two teams play in the Super Bowl back-to-back years. You have to go back to the Cowboys and Bills almost 30 years ago in the 90s. That's the only time that it's happened in the Super Bowl era. So I'm curious, what kind of chances do you see of us having a Kansas City-Tampa Bay Super Bowl in L.A. come February?
Well, you just pointed out how difficult it is for one team to get back to the Super Bowl, let alone the same two teams to play against each other. So the odds are against them, but when we tell either one of these teams they can't get back there, we think they're two of the best in the league. It shouldn't surprise us if it happens, but it is going against historical precedent. But remember last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they won the Super Bowl in their own stadium. The only time that's happened in Super Bowl history, too.
And on 3rd and 5, this will be the 8th play of the drive. Mahomes going to throw. This pass going to be caught by Hardman. And he will have a Chiefs first down. They needed 5 there on 3rd down. He winds up getting 7.
Plenty of things to talk about here, partner, but to me, their defense gave up a touchdown on the first drive. How about how they're responding, coming back? That's a big 3rd down pickup to keep their drive alive.
So the ball down to the 16 here for 1st and 10. Operating from the red zone now, Mahomes. To the right side, it's Kelsey. And down inside the 10 here before he's out of bounds right around the 7. A good pickup there, 8 yards on the first down completion.
And there's a completion to the tight end. And look at the size of these players nowadays. At that spot, 6'4", 6'5", and up. A lot of guys used to be basketball players, somehow came back to football. That's really good for the game of football. You're getting better athleticism.
And in for the Chiefs touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. A 7-yard touchdown grab. And the Chiefs are an extra point away from tying up this Super Bowl. Well, Charles, there's something that the Chiefs did not do at all in Super Bowl 55, and that's find the end zone, but they're in for 6 here.
Yeah, they could only come up with 3 field goals in that game. A huge surprise to just about everybody out there. But in this one, on the board early compared to the last time they played against this team.
Extra point by Butker is on target, and that will tie our score here in this opening quarter of play. Each team's had it. Each team has scored. 7-7 here as the kick's away. And here comes a return from just beyond the goal line. And not a good return here at all as they'll be forced to start at the 12-yard line. Tampa Bay, they're getting ready to set up shop here for their second drive. After the long touchdown drive we just saw, you wonder if maybe that's taken a little of the wind out of this offensive sails because they had it going pretty good last time too.
Had to sit over there for a little while, didn't they? You know, they were eager, amped up to get back on the field after just scoring, hoping to get the ball back quickly. That didn't happen, so I'd say come out, just kind of get started again. You know, it doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Just get moving, get loose again, and see if they can get it downfield.
Fakes the give to Fournette. Now Brady. It's caught by Mike Evans. And they finally get him down at the other 46. A big play that time for Tampa Bay.
Well, after the standard 2-week layoff, you always wonder how's your offense going to respond and come out and play here in the Super Bowl. Well, they got a great answer right there and almost a sigh of relief on that side of the field because now they've got to feel like they can use their entire playbook and game plan for this one.
So the line of scrimmage moves all the way across the 50 now as they come up 1st and 10. A handoff to Fournette. And he's going to get this one down near the 45-yard line. Give him maybe a yard, quite the opposite from the previous big gainer. For these Bucs, Charles, 31-9, they were winners the last time these two teams met back in February. And what kind of chances do you give them of going back-to-back? You know, it hasn't been done since the Super Bowls in 2004 and 2005.
But when you analyze this team, you start with the front office. It's the same GM. The head coach and his staff essentially the same. They brought back all 22 starters from last year's Super Bowl championship team. And, oh, yeah, there's a certain Mr. Brady who won both of those titles in 2004, 2005 as the starting quarterback there. He's back as the quarterback here. I like their chances.
They'll try and run for it with Fournette. Good footwork at the 30. And he's going to get this inside the 30. 94 yards rushing for him now in the opening quarter of this Super Bowl. Well, they're making an effort to get the ground game going tonight. So far, it's working.
I like what we're seeing from the offensive line. They seem to have the leverage going, and they're controlling things and reestablishing the line of scrimmage, moving that defensive front backwards, but also like what the runner's giving us, too. It appears that he's been waiting all day long to get out here and take off.
So a good run by Fournette. Now another 1st and 10. Going to give this time to the tailback. And not a whole lot of room to operate there on the first down run. He gets maybe 3.
Well, that's just a pile of bodies there, and that's when you kind of find out who's a tough guy, right? Who can stand up and make a play. It was only a 3-yard run, but for both sides, they had to walk away from that feeling like, okay, I can stand up when the going gets tough in here.
Now they'll throw with Brady. Left side here, that's complete to Godwin. They get him to the ground right on the cusp of the red zone after a pickup of 5 or 6. These two teams all tied after one. Second quarter now, and it's Buccaneer football as they've got it with a third down coming up. Here's a give to Fournette. And he's going to have a first down here as he gets this one to the 17-yard line.
And with that run, he's already at 100 yards here before halftime. So if he sees the same kind of action in the second half, he could be on his way to a career game.
So from the 17 now, here's a 1st and 10. Now Leonard Fournette. They juked him. And he will be brought down at about the 6-yard line.
For a lot of guys playing this game, there's no better feeling than running right through a tackle. He's able to lower his center of gravity and churn his legs for a really nice pickup.
Now Brady. Throwing over the middle, and it's incomplete.
Had an open man that time, but ended up putting a little too much heat on it, don't you think, partner?
Absolutely. Just needed a touch more air under it. Instead, he fired an absolute bullet. They come up here with another shot from the 6-yard line, and it's 2nd and goal now. Here's Brady to throw. Toward the end zone, but that's going to wind up incomplete.
Good coverage on the outside, and I think that's where he wanted to check that down to. But once he saw the danger over there, he just threw that one over everyone's head. Smart play.
3rd and goal, a big play in this Super Bowl. To throw is Brady. And now another one thrown incomplete. Well, so a drive that spans all that time, and yet you may only come away with 3 points here.
Well, your defense, all right, they actually like these long drives. They get to rest over on the sidelines for a while. But when you're not finishing with points in terms of touchdowns, that's frustrating. They've got to figure out how to close out these long drives and get 6s instead of 3s.
Succop's kick is good. And they take the lead here now at 10-7. That drive took him inside the 10. Good job defensively to hold him to 3.
Yeah, I like how you did that. Give a little tip of the cap to the stop troops there because they didn't give up a touchdown in that situation, right? Made them kick the field goal. And, yeah, points went against them, but that feels a whole lot better running off the field.
Succop now set to kick it off following the made field goal. This fielded right at the goal line. And no alley to be found. The coverage was solid, and he's dropped at the 18. Kansas City taking the field for their second drive. And that last drive, a long drive, but not just that. They had a great air attack going. Do they stick with that?
I would think that they would, because if they were confident enough to do it on the last drive, starting backed up in their own territory, why would you change anything? They've got to be confident about what they're presenting and continue to do so.
Yeah, because the secondary, they really looked clueless.
And that was amazing because that drive went and went, no adjustments, and no big plays by the defense to knock the ball away.
Mahomes will lead the Chiefs up 1st and 10 at their own 18. They'll try and start this drive in the air. And this is going to be caught, but they'll say out of bounds. So it's incomplete.
This Bucs defense, you remember, pretty stout last year, the number 6 overall unit in the NFL.
And I think that as the season wore on, and you pointed this out to me as well, you start to see some of their rookies begin to figure things out. And they played a little more like a top 2 or 3 defense down the stretch. And I would say that in the playoffs and through the Super Bowl, they were truly the best defense in the NFL.
And they'll blow that one up back at the 16-yard line. Now we'll look at Smith. Not sure exactly what happened, but he's still down. While the trainers take a look, we'll step aside. And the Bucs with an extra defender in the secondary now on 3rd down. Now Mahomes. He's got his man. That's Hardman. And he will have a Chiefs 1st down as they're able to get the 3rd down conversion.
Well, that was a fun one to watch right there. A nice in-breaking route and plenty of room in the middle of the field. And he was able to get behind the linebackers and grab the completion for a really good pickup.
So 1st and 10 now from the 30. They go play action. Now Mahomes. Oh, the Buccaneer pressure too much. Down he goes. Devin White leading the surge there as he drops him for a loss of 6.
And this is reminiscent, Charles, of what we saw back in February. The Buccaneer pass rush creating problems for Mahomes.
And you think about how often he was on the run in that game. All the yards that he used up trying to get away from people. If he could have just gone downfield, he probably would have had 200 yards rushing in that game. They did sack him 3 times, forced him into 2 interceptions. The pressure was relentless. This is a really tough unit to move the ball against.
And he's upended after a gain of 2 out to the 27.
Not the kind of gain that we'll go absolutely crazy for, but it's the kind of gain that you need to have when you're running back in the NFL. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, with that low center of gravity and strength, he's going to get those tough, gritty yards for you when necessary.
Now on 3rd and long, they'll look to throw. Trying to lay one up deep. And that will be incomplete. Well, they weren't scared to let it fly, but it falls to the ground and brings up 4th down.
Nice play there to force the incompletion. And to me, one thing's for sure. When you're the underdogs and you're playing on the road, you absolutely have to get takeaways. You've got to get the ball from them.
Yeah, win that turnover battle, going to be key. They didn't get one there, but you get the feeling they keep making plays like that, they might just get a few.
Yeah, once you get one, defensive teams think they come in bunches.
On is the punter Townsend as he gets this one away.
So a change of possession here on the punt. And the Bucs will get ready to go on offense. The Bucs offense set to begin their next possession. Their drive last time, it stalled out. They were forced to take the short field goal.
And the key phrase, you nailed it, forced to, because you know coaches look at these short field goals as a last resort, right? To them, That's not how drives are supposed to end. You're supposed to put 6 on the board. That's a consolation prize. Like going to the county fair, you don't get the big stuffed animal on that one, do you?
No, you don't go top shelf. That's bottom shelf material. Fournette, a first down carry. Fournette fighting through. And he'll be taken down, but not before he gets into enemy territory.
127 yards rushing for him now in the first half of this Super Bowl.
Well, he's broken off some big-time runs here in this first half.
Yeah, and let's just face it. When you go into a game, you think you've got the plays that are going to work, but when you actually get out there and they're starting to happen, your confidence rises, and he's running with terrific ability right now.
Back-to-back good plays have him on the move on first down. Here's Brady. Looking for Godwin, and he's got him complete. Now a loose football. The ball comes out, and it's picked up by the Chiefs. There he goes left side. And he has brought this one back. A fumble recovery for a Chiefs touchdown. And what we just saw, very, very rare. We only had 5 of those in the first 50 Super Bowls.
The biggest stage, the biggest game, and we just saw it happen again. Extraordinary.
The defense has been good, and they were good again there.
And now, as with every potential turnover, they're going to take a second look at this just to make sure.
The previous play is under review.
And the question, was the knee in fact down before this ball comes loose? And is the video convincing enough to overturn it?
A lot of factors here. Remember, you also need clear possession of the football afterwards. This is a tough one to overturn.
After review of the play, ruling on the field is reversed.
So that challenge, a successful one. The fumble on first down. Now here's second down.
Now after the fumble recovery, it's Brady. He completes this to Russell Gage. And he'll be out just a yard or two shy of the 30.
All quarterbacks are better when they have clean pockets to throw from, but you give one to Tom Brady, he'll decimate a defense. A really nice job there by his offensive line, giving him the protection to survey the field and make a nice, accurate throw.
A shotgun give to Fournette. And maybe a measure of revenge there. He's had his way in this one, but this time they get him behind the line. Officially, it's a 1-yard loss. That's going to bring up second and 11.
Well, that was one of the few times they've been able to contain him thus far. He's over 100 yards for the game, but he lost a bit off his total on that carry.
Two minutes on the clock in the second quarter of this Super Bowl. A reminder, coming up at intermission, we'll get highlights of this Super Bowl from Jonathan Coachman and the crew in Orlando for our EA Sports halftime report. Now Brady gets away with one. Lucky, could have been intercepted, but it falls to the ground.
Pretty nice coverage there, but a missed opportunity for an interception. Let's face it, a lot of these defenders, they've got it all. Speed, athleticism, hands, a little bit questionable.
An incomplete pass on that last play, and that means they'll need to come up with something here on third down. Brady going to throw. He'll check this one off to Fournette. And he'll be stopped at the 27-yard line, well short of the first down marker. Now a timeout called for by the defense as they'll head to the sideline and talk over what to do next.
So Brady departs, and on is Ryan Succop for the Buccaneer field goal.
He hit his first one. This from 44 yards out now. And Suckup will put this one right through. And the lead stretches to 6 here. It's 13-7. No problems in the field goal department so far. He's 2 for 2.
Pretty reliable here in this game, isn't he? And to me, that bodes well for them. If they need him late in the game, his confidence should be sky high.
Suckup now set to kick it off following the made field goal.
Hardman, he is not going to bring this out, so they will start the drive at the 25.
Now the Chiefs offense, they get ready to head on the field. And hoping to do better than they did their last possession when they punted the football.
Appeal to the vanity of your offensive line. Tell them that they control your fate. Leverage guys. Win the line of scrimmage. If you do that, you start to win first down. You win second down. And guess what? You start accumulating first downs. And that's what they need in order to not punt the ball again.
Mahomes now on first down.
He'll find his running back, Edwards-Helaire.
And he's going to be out of bounds, but not before he takes it inside the 40. It's a big play there for the Chiefs. The thing that hurt on that play, the missed tackle, that allowed the extra yardage.
It's a matchup game in the NFL. You get the guy that you want isolated, have him miss a tackle, and off you go.
So how about that for a chain mover? They're all the way down inside the 40 now for 1st and 10. Now here's Mahomes.
They'll set up the screen to Edwards-Helaire.
They'll contain him to just 4. 2nd down.
Boy, that was certainly well-read defensively. And the key to any screenplay is space to work. And there was none to be found there. And they tackle him for just a short gain.
Coming up on a 2nd and 6.
Throwing now is Mahomes. He's going to let this go. Back of the end zone. And he's got it. Touchdown, Chiefs. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 33 yards.
And the Chiefs are an extra point away from taking the lead in the Super Bowl.
The fly route works for the TD ground.
And you know the receivers love to say, if we get even with the defender, we're leaving. And that's exactly what he did all the way into the end zone. And then he was on the business end catching it once he got over the stripe.
Butker on for the PAT. And this puts him on top by a penny. It's 14-13. So they only needed 3 plays on that drive. And it's capped off with a Kansas City touchdown. Now after the touchdown, here's Butker on to kick it away.
Taking it about the 1. And he's up past the 20 to the 22-yard line. Leonard Fournette and the rest of the Bucs offense set to take over once more.
And Charles, you can't really fault him. He's over 100 yards already. He's not the reason they're losing.
And that is really unusual because ordinarily when you've set the tone this way and have run it this effectively, usually your team's in control. So it's a very strange situation. And you're right, you can't fault him. He's done a great job for his team thus far.
I'm guessing he's saying, feed me on the sidelines. Now will they continue to do it? Brady now on first down. And this is caught. Right along the sideline. What a job of keeping the toes in bounds there.
I do have to admit, I like it when it all comes together. When the top part, catching the football, right, whether you're catching it with your hands or cradling it, comes together with the legs, in this case the feet, doing a little toe tap to stay in bounds and complete the catch.
And a great job by our crew on the camera shot. Love when you see the grass or on the field turf, those rubber pellets flying up. Great catch. On 1st and 10, here's Brady. And that is incomplete here.
No sense risking anything there on 1st down. Even though he's still in the pocket, he had a receiver out to his side, so just put that in a spot where the only people who could make a play on it are the trainers and the coaches. Well done.
Here's 2nd and 10. On the draw, this is Fournette. And a nice move will yield nothing as he's stopped behind the line. Now the Bucs going to use the first of their timeouts as they'll stop it with just over 40 seconds to go in the first half. From midfield, here's Brady. And Brate, the tight end's got it. And he's able to take it across midfield before going out of bounds. They get only 4 that time as that leads us to a 4th down.
I know sometimes we can get fooled when we watch him make catches, as we just saw him do there, because he really looks like a wide receiver the way he goes about his business.
Yeah, 230, 240 range.
Yeah, not super huge. Maybe not counted on to be that inline point-of-attack blocker that we used to have in the good old days, but you can flex him out. You can run wide receiver routes with him. You can make him a primary target, and that's how he'll shred a defense.
So on now is the Clemson man, Bradley Pinion, to punt this one away. And did he put that on a dime? He did. Wow, out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
We're certainly not going to see a better punt than that. Definitely taking a chance, because if that thing clips the pylon, it comes out to the 20, but instead, it goes out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
Patrick Mahomes on his way out for their next drive. And he's been good. 2 first-half touchdown passes, no interceptions so far.
Does a lot for your confidence, does a great deal for your team, gives them a lead, and they're feeling really good about how they're playing. I think he expects to throw at least another one.
I was going to say, now he wants the first-half hat trick, doesn't he?
Oh, without a doubt. Go ahead and fling him on the field, folks. He wants that type of celebration.
Here's Edwards-Helaire as they will start on the ground. And he'll just push his way forward for a few as the clock will run. Antoine Winfield up from the secondary with the tackle.
Well, he got what he could there, just trying to move forward and gain a little bit of yardage and create some space. You know the pressure is going to be tough defensively.
Second down, back to Edwards-Helaire. Well, that gives them a little room, but not much. A gain of 2 to the 5. So we've come upon halftime in the big one, the Super Bowl. As we send you to our EA studios in Orlando, here's Jonathan Coachman with our EA Sports Halftime Report.
Okay, Brandon, thanks very much, and welcome everyone to this abridged version of the EA Sports Halftime Report. First up, though, let's take a look at the next-gen stats from the first half for the Bucs. And even though they trail, they've had success running the football. Over 100 yards rushing as a team in those first 2 quarters of play. Meanwhile, for the Chiefs, you get a look at what they were able to do throwing the football. And whatever they've done, it's worked, as they have the lead through 2 quarters of play.
All right, Coach, thanks. Yeah, both teams likely to make some changes in what's been a closely fought battle to this point. Now here's Suckup out to kick it away. Nicole Hardman to return it from his end zone. And no chance to get away as they'll get him down at about the 17-yard line. And the Chiefs ready to go on offense to begin quarter number 3. And I think you'd have to say their coaching staff, all things considered, had to be pleased with their performance in the first half of this Super Bowl.
Definitely pleased, doing their best not to show it to their team, of course, because as you and I both know, their mantra all season long has been finish. Get the job done. They know how close they are to lifting that trophy. One more solid half of football, and they can do exactly that.
Mahomes will lead the Chiefs on 1st and 10 at their own 17-yard line. They'll come out throwing here to start the drive. He's going to wind up and air it out. And that's caught inside the 35. And he takes it all the way down to the 28-yard line. A big play there for KC. Patrick Mahomes, he can do everything seemingly, and that time he just reared back and let it fly.
And he made that look effortless, didn't he? I mean, he's had a great game throwing the football. This is going to add to his yardage total in a big way. It's one thing to be accurate on your short and intermediate throws, but when you're hitting the bombs like those, look out.
So that changes things in a big way. Now from all the way down inside the 30, here's 1st and 10. Throwing there, but this pass is going to wind up incomplete. Not his best throw there, but where we sit right now in the third quarter, he's had a pretty good game throwing the football.
He certainly has, and it's not exactly at the point where we're doing 4-minute offense yet, but they've got to think about, I'm not going to say milking the clock, but understanding clock management here on out.
Back to the air on 2nd down. It's Mahomes. And, he's unable to hold on to that defensively. A potential game changer, but it falls incomplete. So back-to-back incompletions. 3rd down here and 10, but you're still in field goal range.
And that's the thing to keep in mind. They're in field goal range. So now you don't take any unnecessary risks, but you try and find a way to get back to what you were doing earlier in the drive in order to finish this one off.
Under pressure, and down he goes. They sack him back at the 36. Vita Vea breaking through to get the sack.
I remember when I was a kid and all I wanted was a nickel so I could get that soda down at the fountain. And guess what? The nickel came into play well. 5 defensive backs, they covered well, allowed for the sack.
Sodas were a nickel when you were a kid?
No, I just needed the extra nickel so I could pay the proper price.
Okay, how much were they? A dime? What were they?
15 cents.
So on 4th down, Mahomes off, Harrison Butker on for the Chiefs field goal. From the left hash, this from 53 yards out. And he hits the upright, but it caroms in anyway. There's plenty of distance there as he banks it in. And that'll move their lead up to 4 now. Well, looking at it from a defensive perspective, that keeps the deficit very, very manageable. You know, all things considered, not a bad job on the defensive side.
I would say that you've pointed out something pretty good right there, and that is you actually have both sides happy with that exchange. You know, happy in quotes, of course. One team, hey, we've kept it within range. The other side saying, hey, we put points on the board and did stretch out the lead. Let's see how this one turns out.
Yeah, still bottom line, though, 3 points for the opening drive of the third quarter. After the field goal, here's Butker to kick it away. This taken in at the goal line. And he'll get it up just past the 20 as his guys will go to work at the 21-yard line. Here comes the Buccaneers offense. They get their first reps of the second half. And their deficit a little wider now than it was at halftime following the field goal a moment ago.
But the goal is still the same because you know they want to come out, establish a rhythm in the second half, and get going. Make no mistake about it, though. Kicking field goals, not in their game plan. They need to get the ball in the end zone.
Brady going to bring the Bucs up with a 1st and 10 at their own 21. Throwing to start the drive. Brady. Underneath, he's got Brate. And he'll get this up past the 25 before he's out of bounds. 5 yards on the catch there. Brings up 2nd down. Not a big window to throw. Coverage wasn't too bad there.
Yeah, they had him under wraps pretty well, but somehow able to muscle his way open and catch the ball.
On second down, here's Fournette. He takes this for 3 to the 29.
Typically, we think it's the strong safeties that are better tacklers, especially closer to the line of scrimmage amidst traffic. But in this case, how about the free safety coming up and making the big-time play?
Again, it's Fournette. Well, they hit him in the backfield, and he will not escape. And that is not going to get it done. He lost 2, and it brings up 4th.
Really nice job there by the interior of the Kansas City defensive line, and they're a stout unit to run against. And they do an excellent job there of bottling that play up.
Here's Bradley Pinion now, as he'll kick it away for the second time. His first punt, 45 yards. This looks good as well. A 41-yard punt there with no return, and it's Chiefs football, 1st and 10. Set to take over, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. How do you think he personally is evaluating his game so far? He was pretty good in the first half, been good so far here in the third quarter. He's got to like it, right?
Not looking for the dramatics here. Not trying to set the world on fire in terms of stats. It's almost like you're driving. Hands at 10 and 2, alert for anything out there, watching for trouble on the road, and making sure you get the team home.
The bus driver. See if he can drive the bus here again on this drive. Throwing on first down is Mahomes. The tight end Kelsey has it over the middle. And to the 36-yard line, taken down there after getting 8 yards. That's a staple of this offense. Drag route to the tight end.
Yeah, he was unable to use his size to break off much more yardage after the catch, but still an effective gain nonetheless.
2nd and 2. They'll run. It's Edwards-Helaire. And he's going to be met at the line of scrimmage and taken down. He got maybe a half yard at most, but officially they'll be left with a 3rd and 2. Offensive line really didn't give him any room to maneuver on that play.
Things closed pretty quickly, didn't they? And how about the wrap-up at the end of that tackle? Left no doubt there would be no additional yardage to be found.
The Bucs with an extra defender now in the secondary here on 3rd down. Edwards-Helaire, they'll try to run for it. On Edwards-Helaire, I don't think he got there. He did not. They'll stop him short. The defense stiffens to force 4th down following that first down gain of 8.
As usual, the hallmark of a good run defense, linebackers making plays near the line of scrimmage. Absolutely nowhere to run there.
Here's the Chiefs punter now, as he'll punt it away for the second time. So possession goes over here on the punt, and the offense will take over with a new set of downs. Leonard Fournette making his way back out there. So after that hot start, the numbers here show the decline. What has the defense done adjustment-wise?
Sometimes when you have a running back who's gotten off to a hot start, you've got to catch him before he really gets going. So you change what you do across the defensive front. Instead of the linebackers being back a few yards, you bring them up closer. It's what we call mugging the line of scrimmage, taking away a lot of blocking angles and gaps, and maybe stopping him before he can get going.
Mugging the line of scrimmage, okay.
Yeah, in this case,
they'll start out on the ground. It's Leonard Fournette. And he goes across the 20 to the 22. Justin Reed, the safety, made the tackle.
And there we saw one of the downsides of blitzing during a rundown, because sometimes you get out of your gaps. You don't fit the run quite as well because you're headed towards the ball carrier with abandon.
The first down run got 5. Here's 2nd and 5. Throwing now is Brady. And his throw's going to be incomplete.
A lot of times it's that first read that you have. Maybe you get it in pre-snap, and he locked in on his target, but he was covered quite well, and that one's incomplete.
They come up now 3rd and 5 following the incomplete pass. To throw, it's Brady. And that almost intercepted. Oh, they would have loved to have their first pick of the game right there, but at least it does get them to 4th down.
Has to be a little bit of frustration there. Back-to-back incompletions. Receivers blanketed on both attempts, this time on 3rd down.
Here's Bradley Pinion now as he's on to punt for Tampa Bay. Out comes Patrick Mahomes in the Chiefs offense. He has been consistent, hasn't he? He played well in the first quarter, good second quarter, and now continuing that here in the 3rd.
And that's the word that they're always seeking from the guy taking the snaps, is consistency. Taking care of the ball, making sure it gets to the right people, no errors, right? Not turning it over, and just doing all the right things. That's leadership, and it inspires confidence in a team.
Yeah, been a good leadership and a good distributor. The drive will begin with a run by Edwards-Helaire. And he'll get 2, maybe 3 up near the 37. Now, they struggled to get him rolling on the ground in the first half, and that's sort of continuing here in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, but I don't think it's time to abandon the running game. I would say keep feeding the horse, and I believe he'll eventually reward them, especially as we get deeper in the game.
3 yards on that last carry. Here's 2nd and 7. Edwards-Helaire as they run out of the gun. And he's dropped right at the 40. Gain of 3.
Sometimes with the running game, you've just got to stick with it. Look, it's the 3rd quarter, no time to panic. But that also doesn't mean you just do it the same way you've been doing it the entire ball game. Maybe change up some blocking assignments or run a few different plays, but stay with the overall essence of the running game.
Looking to throw is Mahomes. Open man, Smith-Schuster, it's complete. And he will be very close to a 1st down, but I see the closed fist of the referee, and that means 4th down. Short completion, just 4 yards, and that's going to bring up a 4th down.
Receivers love having the reputation of being go-to guys on 3rd down, and he was fighting like he really wanted to have that reputation, didn't he? I mean, he came very close to making that a 1st down.
Broke the 1 tackle, but couldn't spring himself free. Here's the Chiefs punter now, as he'll come on to kick this one away. He's averaging just under 50 yards a punt as he gets this away. 39 yards on the punt, just 2 on the return, and out will come the offense as they take over. Now the Buccaneers offensive unit back out on the field. And our game's hit a little bit of a lull here, a little bit of a snag. Punts on back-to-back drives.
And old school coaches don't necessarily mind that. Didn't turn it over, right? Didn't create a big play for the other team. Right now what you're looking for is, can you gain an advantage in field position? And that's what both teams are seeking right now.
Yeah, they'll be seeking to gain that advantage here on this drive. They begin with a run by Fournette. Fournette, a 1st down, still going. And he takes us beyond the 35 before going out of bounds. 152 yards for him on the ground now. He has been a tough man to bring down all night.
And he continues to pile up the yardage. That puts him over $150 now. And this defense has really had its problems trying to keep him contained.
One play has him to the 37 here for 1st and 10. Fournette able to avoid him at the 40. And he'll take this ahead for about 4. 2nd down coming up.
Well, on every play call, you realize it's not going to go for a touchdown. So a lot of your calls are setting things up for maybe later in the game, trying to establish the inside run with toughness now, hopefully get to the perimeter later. And let's face it, you could do worse than a 4-yard run on 1st down.
1 quarter remains here in the Super Bowl. We'll return with more after this. You're watching the NFL on EA Sports. Back now here on EA Sports. It's Buccaneer football, but they've got work to do. They find themselves behind here to start the 4th quarter.
Six yards left on 2nd down.
Now Brady. He's going to have the hook up to Gage. And he's able to take it across midfield before going out of bounds.
When this Bucs offense is humming, this is what they're good at. They're short to intermediate passes. They get the ball out quickly in rhythm, and it's a tough offense to slow down when they're playing well.
So signs of life in what's been a dormant offense in this second half. Here's 1st and 10. Brady now to throw.
And that, nearly picked off. Well, it would have been a great time for their first interception of the game. Instead, it's 2nd down.
They've given up a few first downs on this drive, but getting the incompletion there, that should give them something to build on and maybe turn the tide.
2nd and 10.
Here's Brady to throw.
They'll swing this out to Fournette.
They do get a couple, but they'll be left staring at a 3rd and 8 coming up.
One thing I think that's safe to say defensively, the tackling's been really good.
And because of that, it's been very, very hard for them to move the ball because you're not getting the benefits of run after catch. They tackle them almost on the spot. That means they have to run extra plays, harder to move it.
On 3rd down, Fournette.
And they're going to mark him down short, maybe by about a yard, if that.
A good gain there on 3rd and 8 of 7 yards, and now a decision here on 4th and 1.
This late in the game, Charles, I think you maybe seriously have to think about going for it.
Especially where they are in terms of field position, because this is almost like no man's land. Might hurt your punter because there might not be enough space, maybe too far for your field goal kicker. I'm like the old rule. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Possession is 9/10 of winning the game. Go for it, get the first down, close it out.
If they're going to have a shot in this Super Bowl, they're going to need this one on 4th down.
They'll go with a big back Fournette. And some room to run now. Pushes past him. And all the way inside the 15 before they drop him.
Okay, you and I are sitting up here getting ready to analyze whether they should go for it or not. Did you see the quarterback just point to the sideline and say, everybody back, I've got this call?
Well, you knew this side of the field, they're in plus territory, 4th and 1. He wasn't coming off the field.
No, he wasn't coming off the field, and he wasn't letting the offense go with him at all. He said, we're staying out here, and we're picking this one up. That's some leadership right there.
The 4th down run successful. Now they look to pay it off on 1st down. Into the red zone, it's Brady. Quick hitter here, it's complete. He's taken down at the 7 after a gain of 7.
I know many people like to throw to the tight end, maybe in a little flexed out position because he creates mismatches with his size. But slot receivers do the same thing with their quickness, their speed, and their route running savvy.
2nd down and 3, ball on the 7.
Now Brady. This is caught.
And in for the Buccaneers, touchdown. Tom Brady with a touchdown pass to Chris Godwin. And the Bucs have regained the lead in the second half of this Super Bowl.
Now an important extra point here to stretch this lead to a field goal. He's got it, and this is indeed up to a 3-point lead. That time a 9-play drive, and it ends with a touchdown for the Bucs. Now it's Ryan Suckup on after the touchdown to kick it away.
And Hardman going to go ahead and sit on this one as it'll come out to the 25.
So now here are the Chiefs as their offense makes their way back out onto the field.
And we're at the time in this Super Bowl where, look, they need points, and they need them badly, trailing here in the fourth quarter as they begin this drive 1st and 10. Now a carry for Edwards-Helaire.
And not much to speak of. Call it a 1-yard gain up to the 26. Seems pretty obvious defensively a key was stopping the run game. How have they done it so successfully?
To me, it seems that these guys really did a nice job of paying attention during the scouting report meeting. And you know, Brandon, when they do those, they talk about the top plays that these guys like to run. The best runs for the top running back, those are the ones you focus on and want to take away. And they've done that pretty successfully in this game.
Meanwhile, Mahomes' throw here complete to Kelsey.
And past the 40 before he's out of bounds. Tell you what, he's been able to put the ball in some tight spots all game long. That throw, no different.
Yeah, a lot of people would call it a gutsy type of a throw. I think he looks at it as, I can do it, so it's not that big of a deal to me, and I'm going to keep firing.
Bruce Arians taking exception to that last call, and he's going to throw out the challenge flag. Did he keep those feet in bounds? That's the question they've got to decide, and I got to say, watching it in real time, it was awfully close.
Yeah, it certainly looked like a heck of a catch because he didn't appear to bobble it, which could complicate things, but even with the benefit of replay, that's pretty tight.
Well, here's the call.
Let's go. Let's do it. After review of the play, ruling on the field stands.
So the challenge there does not go their way. This will indeed remain a completed pass. First and 10, it's Edwards-Helaire with it.
And this time they were waiting for him as he'll be knocked down before he can get back to the line of scrimmage. 2 yards the loss, 2nd and 12. And the trend continues here in the fourth like it was in the first, 2nd, and 3rd. He's had nowhere to run.
And you're probably thinking to yourself, why do they keep feeding him the football? Well, they trust him first and foremost. They do believe that over time he might actually pop one of these runs. But bottom line is he takes care of the ball well for them, so they'll keep handing it to him.
So the first down run lost a couple. Now they come up 2nd and 12. Mahomes going to throw.
Catch is made by Hardman.
And able to rip off a big chunk of yardage before being dropped inside the 40.
And here we are in the fourth quarter, partner, and watch them drive for what would be a go-ahead touchdown. And you and I both know this is where you need a quarterback who can keep his cool back there. Not just for himself, but to keep the rest of the team relaxed too.
So from Buccaneer territory now, it's 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line.
A shotgun snap and a give to Edwards-Helaire.
And he'll work this forward for about 3 at 2nd down.
You know that old expression, it's not my night? It hasn't been his so far. I don't know if the legs are a little bit heavy. Sometimes having to hang out all day and play doesn't exactly play to your advantage, but it's been a tough go for him.
And every time he looks up, somebody's there defensively. That was the same case on that play.
From the 36, Mahomes.
That throw good for only a couple. It brings up 3rd down. Here's Mahomes to throw. He's got his man, Valdez-Scantling. He's going to go out of bounds, but he takes this one down just shy of the 20.
I love the drive they're working on here because they know they can take the lead with a touchdown. And so far on this drive, so good. They've moved the ball down the field with very little resistance defensively, but they better be prepared for some adjustments to come their way now.
Mahomes now on first down. That ball is caught. Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Let's go, boys. Let's go.
3 points separating these two sides with 2 minutes left to go in the fourth. So the Chiefs in possession of the ball as we welcome you back. They come up on a 1st and goal with this game still hanging in the balance. They'll run with Edwards-Helaire. And he's able to get it down to the 2-yard line. Give him 4 on the carry there at 2nd and goal.
But they picked up a little bit of yardage there, and now, in this situation, should be in no hurry to run a play really fast. Let the clock wind down.
Mahomes used to moving quickly in college, trying to get his guys to the line. Here's Mahomes. And that is caught for the touchdown, Kansas City. Noah Gray there to make the grab. And the Chiefs are going to jump back in front.
You get down near the goal line, this is where having a sure-handed tight end becomes a luxury, and it pays off big time, especially when the defense sells out against the run. He finds himself open for an easy touchdown.
Still an important piece of business to take care of, the extra point. And that will make this a 4-point game. So the drive goes 75 yards, 10 plays, and it winds up with the Chiefs hitting pay dirt. Now after the touchdown, here's Butker on to kick it away. And it'll come out to the 25 as he will not attempt a return. So here's Brady and the Bucs. Down 24-20, a little over a minute and a half remaining. A touchdown could win the Super Bowl as they've got a first down. Now Brady. And a catch right side by Evans. A second fake. And past the 40 before he's out of bounds.
Let's go. Let's go.
That's what they need right now. Get the first down, get out of bounds, stop the clock.
Just playing smart football, understanding the situation, making the plays necessary, and making sure that clock stops at every opportunity.
One play has him up past the 40 already, and another 1st and 10. To throw is Brady. Wide open receiver complete. And he takes this one down almost all the way to the 30.
That's a nice job right there, partner, because they were able to work down the middle of the field, working in the seams, because I think defensively, they were guarding the sidelines, trying to keep them from getting out of bounds. They took what they gave them, and it was successful.
And we've reached the 1-minute mark in this game. Brady to throw. dumps it off to Fournette. And down inside the 15, shy of the 10. And now all of a sudden, the shoe's kind of on the other foot. Maybe you pull the reins back here a bit?
Yeah, a little bit, because you got to make sure that you don't score too quickly.
First down now, but that clock rolling. The Bucs going to go ahead and use the second of their timeouts, as they'll stop it with a little over 30 ticks to go in the football game.
From down at the 12, it's 1st and 10. Back to throw, Brady.
Sideline throw, it's complete. And a nice job there of keeping the toes in bounds. 5 yards on the catch there, brings up 2nd down.
It didn't check off every box, but the most important one. Got the clock stopped, getting out of bounds. They may be a little short of the 1st down, but I thought that was the key.
From the 7, it's 2nd and 5.
Back to throw. Looking end zone, but it's incomplete.
As defensive coordinators around the league tell me all the time, that throw is not for every quarterback, because you've really got to drive the ball downfield. It's going to be a tight window for him to fit that one into. In this case, unsuccessfully.
They come up now 3rd and 5 following the incomplete pass. Back to throw. And he's got it. It's caught for a touchdown. And they have taken the lead here in the final seconds.
How many people watching this one right here gave up? Because that score, they might want to try and rush back into this stadium.
Yeah, what looks like is going to be the game-deciding score, although a little bit of time left, so you can't count your chickens before they're hatched.
Well, they better come back in here and watch this one, because you and I, we're not going anywhere. We want to see this one play out.
Now an important extra point here to stretch this lead to a field goal. He's got it, and this is indeed up to a 3-point lead. A drive that time of 6 plays, and it's all finished off with a touchdown by Tampa Bay. Now it's Ryan Suckup on after the touchdown to kick it away.
Here's Mecole Hardman. And makes it across the 20 as his guys will set up shop at the 23-yard line.
The Chiefs offense about set to begin this drive. So you're right there, but obviously the clock is not your friend. How do you handle this situation?
You're thinking 2 plays. One, to get yourself in position for the second one, whether you're able to get into field goal range, or you have to try another deep pass, another Hail Mary. But you're trying to get the first one to a receiver, get out of bounds, and give yourself a chance to set things up for an easier shot at it.
We'll see if they can do it. Might be easier said than done.
Coming up on 2nd and 7. Mahomes.
Now a desperation throw deep downfield.
And that throw behind his man. He missed him. Incomplete.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won the Super Bowl, and they will hoist the Lombardi Trophy to cap an amazing season. And to the Super Bowl champions, they etch their name forever in NFL immortality.
That's pretty phenomenal right there. It actually gave me chills just to hear you say that, because immortality forever and ever. When you look in the record books, you'll see this team, you'll see their picture, that your name will be a part of it, that's got to be an incredible feeling because it's been a long journey to get there, and now they get a chance to enjoy it.